Did you know one of the most famous songs in the world was written by a shepherd? The Bible tells us about a shepherd named David who eventually became a great king and songwriter. We can read many of his songs in the Bible. The most famous of them all is Psalm 23. In this song, David wrote about God being like a good shepherd who loved and cared for him. I want to show you hand motions for Psalm 23 to help you remember what a good shepherd God is. I learned Psalm 23 by heart when I was just a kid, and it helps me remember that my good shepherd will always love and care for me. I'll show you how it goes, and then I'll slow down and explain the hand motions. See if you can follow me and copy what I do while I say Psalm 23 with hand motions. Here we go. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. That's Psalm 23. Now, let's slow down and talk about those hand motions. First, we say Psalm 23 while we pretend to play an instrument. I also like to sing when I say Psalm 23 because a psalm is a type of song. The Bible tells us David played a harp, so I pretend to play a harp when I sing Psalm 23. Let's try it together. Psalm 23. Now, Psalm 23 begins with the words, "The Lord is my shepherd." This means I belong to God and he cares for me. God lives in heaven, so let's point up and say, "The Lord is my shepherd." Ready? The Lord is my shepherd. The next part says, "I shall not want." To be in want is a fancy way of saying you don't have what you need. When I follow God, I'm not in want because God gives me everything I need. I don't have to try to get it for myself. So I shake my head no while I pretend to grab things for myself and say, "I shall not want." Because I don't have to grab and snatch what I need. I trust God to provide it. Can you do that with me? I shall not want. Good job. The next part talks about the ways a shepherd gives his sheep what they need. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. A shepherd gives his sheep rest and food and water. So rest your head on your hands while we say, "He makes me lie down in green pastures." And then pretend to make ripples of water with your fingers while we say, "He leads me beside still waters." This reminds me that when I follow God, he meets my needs. The next part says, "He restores my soul." This reminds me I'm messed up inside by sin. I go my own way instead of God's way, like a naughty sheep. But Jesus died and rose again to save me from my sin. He restores my soul by changing me on the inside to give me a new heart that's clean from sin so I can be close to God, my good shepherd. So pretend to fix something that's broken and make it new as we say, "He restores my soul." Then Psalm 23 says, "He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake." Pretend your hands are the sides of a path. A good shepherd leads his sheep on the right paths, and God leads me in the right way and helps me know how to live. This shows how awesome he is. So we're going to make a path with our hands and then point up toward God when we talk about God's name. Try it with me. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. For the next verse, make your fingers look like a tiny little person walking down your arm into a valley. And then make scary looking claws with your hands while you shake your head no to show you're not afraid, like this. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." God is with me, even when life is hard or scary, and I don't have to be afraid. So say that part with me again. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. The next part tells why I don't have to be afraid, for you are with me. God is with me, and he is big and good and strong. So flex your muscles and smile while we say that part. For you are with me. And then use your hands to pretend to hold a shepherd's rod and a shepherd's staff in your hands for the next part. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. A shepherd carried a rod and staff to help protect and care for his sheep. God protects me, and I like to give myself a hug when I say the part about him comforting me. Say the part with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Now, pretend to set things on a table while you say the next part. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Do that with me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. This reminds me that sin and Satan are my biggest enemies, but God made the way to save me from sin and help me follow him. The next part says, you anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. So let's pretend to pour oil on our heads and then move our hands like water overflowing from a cup. Ready? You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. This reminds me God does such a good job caring for me that I have even more of his love and goodness than I need. The next part reminds me God is always with me and I'll never be away from him. It says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. When I follow God, I can trust that he's giving me his goodness and mercy every day. So make a thumbs up on each hand as you say goodness and mercy. Then move your hands towards you like they're following you. Let's try it. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. The last part is my favorite because it reminds me that God is always with me forever. It says, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. For this part, you can make a little house over your head with your arms and hands and then spin your hands over and over when you say the word forever, because forever just keeps going and going and going. Let's try it. And I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. When you believe in Jesus to save you from sin, you belong to God the Good Shepherd, and he will always be with you. You will never be separated from him. Even after you die, he will take you to live with him in his home, heaven, forever. That's Psalm 23. Now, let's try putting all those motions and words together. Are you ready? Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23 reminds me God is my good shepherd. He will always love and care for me. This psalm was David's way of thanking and praising God for being his good shepherd. You can praise God for being your good shepherd too. You can watch this video over and over to help you practice and remember the words and motions for Psalm 23. Then, when you think about your good shepherd, you can get excited and tell him something you enjoy about him.
Thanks for watching our video. If your family or church would like to learn more about Psalm 23 for kids, you can get free object lessons, Bible games, and stories about Psalm 23 at kidsenjoyingjesus.com. We've got a free ebook called Enjoying God My Shepherd, with more than 90 ideas to help families and churches teach kids about God the Good Shepherd. Your family or church can download a free copy at kidsenjoyingjesus.com. Thanks for watching.